Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves. I'm your host, Ike. And before we get too sucked into this awesome interview, do us both a favor and like, subscribe, and share this amazing piece of entertainment because I am here with the one, the only, Rafa!
How's it going?
Say hello, Rafa.
Hello, everyone.
How are things, my guy?
Things are very well. Moved into a new apartment, and life is good.
Sweet. Any extra roommates that you didn't realize were there until you signed all the forms?
Nothing like that. We did have a cat that wasn't ours that decided to show up for a little bit. And we actually adopted her and named her Buckles, and it turns out Buckles just didn't like that her household had a baby and was protesting, and their owners came by and picked up the cat. So that was kind of cute and sad at the same time. But other than that, no, it's just me and my girlfriend. Very nice place.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. First up, the oldie but the goodie. What's your favorite dad joke?
My favorite dad joke. Well, we'll see if this actually constitutes a dad joke, but I do say this one the most, and I was told it is dad joke quality. When I like something or I think something is really good, I'll be like, well, that's as predictable as pumpkin pie, and I'll be like, what does that mean? I was like, well, of course it's good. I don't know.
Very much along the wavelength of dad joke material, to be sure.
Yeah, it's on the wavelength. It's a stretch, but I do say that one the most. And I always get a good eye roll, and I think that's a good quality of a dad joke is an eye roll. Right?
Yeah, that's how you know. If you get people laughing, that's not a dad joke. Dad joke cannot have a laugh, have like a true laugh.
Absolutely.
Cannot be the reaction. Otherwise, that doesn't stand up to dad joke material.
Absolutely.
From that to a little bit more of a Esquire type response, what is your favorite underutilized word?
Yeah, my favorite underutilized word is specificity. And I heard that word for the first time when I saw one of my favorite movies, Inception, all those years ago, and I've been obsessed with it ever since, and I try to find ways to use it whenever relevant. And it's just such a satisfying word to say. Makes you sound
Truly.
Smart. And especially when you use it correctly, when it's like relevant, it's just like, ooh.
Yeah, indeed. I love the specificity of your answer.
There it is.
You're right. I do feel smarter.
There you go.
All right. Let's see with what specificity you can next answer this great question.
Mm-hmm.
What movie will you never skip when channel surfing?
Well, that's easy. Judge Dredd. Either
New one or old one?
Either one. Yeah. So I grew up watching the Sylvester Stallone one, right? I was 10 years old when I watched that one. Probably shouldn't have seen that so young, but, I turned out just fine, right?
Are you a follower of the law?
I am the law. It was just, yeah, it's so great. And then when the remake came out, which God, that's approaching like 10 years, isn't it? It's been
it's been a surprising amount of time. It feels like 2 weeks ago, but
right?
yeah, it's like 8 to 10 years. Yeah.
I forget the actor in that, but it was the same guy that was in the new
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban. Yeah, he's fantastic. Yeah, I love that one. And I watched that one for a long time. And then I actually recently saw that the original Sylvester Stallone one was on Amazon, and I showed my girlfriend that. I hadn't seen it in a very long time. She's never seen it. And rewatched it. I was like, wow, this actually is still really good. And like, it's corny or whatever, but it's just a movie. But like, wow, I'm like really entertained. And I think the best way to look at it is just like, it's just two different kind of stories from the city. So like I can super enjoy both movies equally, and like I will never skip that channel surfing. It is just so goddamn entertaining.
Yeah, it's like whatever you're in the mood for, right? Like you have a hardcore action movie with amazing, visuals.
Yeah.
Or you have just like an 80s cornball shoot 'em up fest.
100%.
Whatever you're feeling like.
Yeah.
Either way, you get bullets.
Yes. Lots of bullets.
Growing up, what was your favorite book?
Um, Probably The Outsiders.
Oh yeah.
That's one I can remember reading the most and actually completing from beginning to end. As a kid, really enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, I think I was around the same age, like 10 or 11 when I read that. But great book. Movie actually did it justice. From what I remember, it's been a while too, but I remember that
it did it justice. And in star-spangled fashion. You got like Tom Dillon, Patrick Swayze, Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
like the cast is repugnantly filled with like amazing actors. The fact that and it is like never showed. It almost looks like an after-school special with like the budget. It kind of looks like it might have had, and the amount of play it's gotten. It's like, you didn't realize this is like A-list city, right?
Yeah.
And like, I think the guy that directed it is the same guy that directed The Godfather or something. Like,
my God.
The director is not a slouch either. It's like, this is mono bangers, and like so few people have seen it. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember watching it in English class.
Mm-hmm.
Again, probably too young somehow, but violence. Hey, it's okay for kids.
Right.
And yeah, it did shockingly resemble the material, like Pitch Perfect. But I mean, part of that I think that helps is the fact that the book is very readable and very short.
Yeah.
Like it didn't try to get too elegant or too like kind of confusing. It was very much just, and the guy, and Ponyboy shanks the jock,
Right.
at a fountain, and then wakes up in red water. It's just like, damn.
Yeah.
But very visually compelling.
Well, it's just that's a good point about the book, the way it was written, because it was so straightforward, but yet it just painted such a clear picture in your mind. Like it didn't need like any kind of over exaggeration or any overindulgence to tell a good story, and that's like a really good example of that. And yeah, thank you for reminding me about the cast in that movie too. Like, holy crap! Like,
Yeah.
I completely forgot it was like all A-listers.
Yeah,
like
it's
currently
like,
now,
it's the most bit role Tom Cruise has ever played in his life. He's in it for like the last 10% of the movie when they go have this like big throwdown with like a rival gang to end the movie. It's like he's in there for that. That's it. Like him and Matt Dillon show up at like the tail end. It's like, I don't know if it was like early on in the career before people who knew who they were or they owed somebody a favor, but it is hilarious. Like, oh yeah, we got these two chuckleheads on the couch. It's like, yeah, Tom Cruise and Matt Dillon just hanging around.
Yeah.
Like, what?
100% favor and trying to get noticed as well.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So if you had to evacuate your house, like it's on fire or something, God forbid, knock on wood, what's the first non-living thing you would grab and rescue to safety?
Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately 2 years ago I did have to evacuate. I paint all my paintings. All my paintings were the first thing to grab, like 100%. It's just things that really can't be recreated or can't be replaced easily. Pretty much anything I create, like my book of writing, I grab that. Paintings, and then pictures, sentimental pictures, cards, things like that. But everything else I pretty much left. I think I grabbed my PS4 actually. It was like 5 a.m. I was like, I think I
gotta
have
have
time
something to do in the wasteland.
Yeah. Like, we may not have power, but at least I'll have my PS4. No TV with it. I didn't grab a TV with it. I just grabbed the PS4. Yeah, but just my art stuff for sure. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah.
What comes to mind when I say underrated?
Definitely some music. Some musicians, some groups, bands, whatever you want to call it, comes to mind. I've always
Anyone jump to the top of the list?
Geez.
Or any ones, I guess, if there's a myriad that you've got to grab from.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go with this one since I listen to this pretty often. Some of the super underrated, but I think is fantastic, is this synthwave. I wouldn't even call it a band. I think it's just one guy, actually. The group's called Lukash. I might be pronouncing that incorrectly. It's spelled Lukhash. Definitely could be pronouncing it incorrectly, but I discovered that just on YouTube, and I was like, oh my god, this album is amazing. The album's called Better Than Reality. It's just like, every track's a banger, and it's just like, you know, those songs that give you goosebumps and you just want to listen to again and again and again. Like the whole album's filled with that. I look at the subscribers on this artist and the listens. It's like 10,000 maybe, and it's been out for years. I'm like, this is fantastic. Like a lot of synthwave artists, I think, are super underrated. So I think that genre, the genre itself, is underrated. And there's a lot of talented people out there that should have recognition, especially when it's super high quality music that's technically underground. It's like there's no way this should be underground.
It's kind of like, well, hopefully we can, by mentioning on here, we can recreate what happened with Among Us, right? Like, is that like that game existed for years and like didn't really get any love, saw very little play. Like the ratings were good, but there wasn't that many people on there.
That's right.
And then one streamer played it with his friend, and it like they like broke the servers. Like within a week, it was like they were having technical issues because they just like weren't ready for this kind of traffic.
Oh wow!
And then it's the cultural phenomenon that we know of today.
Yeah, you know, I actually didn't know that had happened. Like I knew the game had been out for a bit before it got popular, but I didn't know it just had this sudden spike like that due to a streamer playing it or anything like that. That's really fascinating. It's going to be so interesting for the artist. That's like you release something and it's been out for a long time, and you're kind of just like cool with it being out there. And all of a sudden, you just get like this, you know, international success from this thing you made a long time ago. It's like, wait a minute, but I already made this. Like now you're just noticing it. Like I don't know. It's gotta be a really bittersweet kind of feeling, but probably mostly sweet once the money starts rolling in. But yeah, that's so cool.
So what you work in the internet telecommunications industry? That's correct.
That's right. Yeah. Work.
What's your favorite industry secret or term that's only used in your line of work?
Industry secret. This is a good one, which I actually didn't find out until I got a new job. Basically got promoted in a way. So I found this out. So we have this thing called a central office. I'm not sure if you know what that is. That's basically like where all of our servers are. That's where we keep everyone's information. You know, but we're literally like how the company works. People can rent out these servers in there. These private companies can, and keep their information on there. And you know, it's behind locked doors, cameras. You need clearance, all this kind of stuff. And I knew that's at pretty much any service provider, right? And I found out that like we have people that come in here with like special clearance, and they have like briefcases like handcuffed to their arm and stuff like that. I'm just like, what in the heck are people storing here at Sonic? You know what I mean? It's just like that just blew me away. Like when I was getting training, like my lead was telling me this. It was like, what kind of customers do we have here? Like we're just like this little Santa Rosa ISP. We have like like government secrets and shit being stored here. Like I thought that was really cool to find out, like that we have that kind of stuff. It's
not just the bigwig, companies that have the the secret intel being storaged away.
Absolutely, yeah. It totally felt like, oh, we're part of like the secret agent thing. I don't know. It felt cool for a few weeks, and then,
you had your James Bond moment. That's awesome.
Then the grind of the job happens. Like I don't care anymore. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool though. I didn't know that before.
You feel like James Bond hearing that GoldenEye theme song playing in the back of your head, just
100%.
And then Karen's like, fill up the coffee, and you're like, all right, that moment's over.
Yep.
Thanks, Karen. I was having a moment. Jerk.
I was feeling cool for a second. God damn it.
Felt important.
Oh,
other than that awesome gem, do you have a favorite anecdote to lay on us?
Let's see here. Well, that's just basically like a funny story, right? All right. Well, there's a few. Some of them are embarrassing, but whatever. It's not like these are years ago, so it doesn't matter, right? Favorite anecdote to tell when this was a long time ago, probably like let's see, 16, 17 years ago. Me and my degenerate friends. I mean, I was also degenerate. When we were bored, we used to do this thing called Sign Night, where we would go around and steal street signs, because what else do you do when you're in your early 20s and unemployed? Of course, that's how you spend your time. Jesus Christ. And so our biggest accomplishment was we took this sign for like a karate place. So stupid, and some safety cones, and we went up to Fountain Grove and literally blocked off the entire street to get up to Fountain Grove. In the middle of the road, we put this karate sign, and we just stood back and watched people drive and then turn around, and it was the most hilarious thing in the world. We just hid in the bushes and watched people just turn around, and one guy gave no shits whatsoever and just plowed through the entire thing and just kept going. Like, wow, that guy was in a hurry. Like, what if this was actually like a road closure?
Now that is a prank that, while I would admonish as an adult if that was said child or relative, it is the right amount of harm and
right.
Problem to be causing. It's just like, you're causing people to turn around, and if they at all think about it and see that there's a karate sign, they might figure there's some skullduggery afoot and just, do what this guy did and give no F's and just barrel
fucking
through.
Going right through it, yeah.
That's awesome.
It's pretty great, yeah. I mean, pretty much a victimless crime, but yeah, still degenerate nonetheless.
Yeah.
Not
Wouldn't recommend doing. Definitely illegal, but also relatively harmless.
Yes. Oh, goodness.
That's tremendous. What do you regret not having done or tried before you graduated high school? Other than stealing more signs.
Oh, gosh. Should I say that was after high school? Yeah. Geez. One thing I regret not doing before graduating high school. It's a really good question. I don't think there was too much. Probably the only thing that regret not doing in high school before graduating was really getting into music and really learning how to play guitar. Like, I wish I got into music a little younger. Because that's kind of
like, you had more free time.
Well, exactly. 100%. More free time. You're more likely to have, parents and things just like buy you musical equipment. I didn't get into it until, I already had a full-time job and everything like that. So like anything I wanted was definitely on my dollar, which is cool, whatever. But I wish I was just one of those kids that like, cool, 12 years old, I'm going to like start playing an instrument. And like by the time 18, like, wanted to start like a band or whatever, which I got to do, but not till after high school, because that was my passion. So I just, I went for it for a while, but definitely wish I did that. I pursued that at a younger age, definitely in high school, because it's easier to meet people too, rather than like relying on word of mouth.
And meet people that have just like more time on their hands.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, oh, we can just jam after school, It's not like, well, now it's just like, you text someone you want to hang out, and it's just like, oh, I'm busy that day. How about this day? Well, I'm busy. It's like, well, I'll see you next year, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's dance card is full up.
Yeah, like the whole John Mulaney skit. It's just like, oh, that was next Wednesday. Like, Wednesday is no good. It's just like this whole thing. It's like, yeah, then you forget to text each other, and it doesn't matter at all.
Yep.
But yeah, totally music, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's awesome. What's your favorite little-known factoid?
This is a new one, so it's fresh in my mind that I just found out. The Scream movies are actually based off of a real serial killer, and
oh no,
yeah, when I found that out, that just like that horrified me and excited me at the same time. I was like, no way,
isn't that cool? Oh god.
Yeah, like, wait a minute. Wait, there's actually someone hid in someone's closet. This is awful. Like, usually I do not like horror movies. Like, I actively avoid them, but for some reason I really like the first two Scream movies a lot. I thought they were super well done. And so when I found that out, I'm just like, oh my god, I thought this was original content. And then like the more I hear about like I don't even remember what the actual the actual serial killer, what his name was, or anything like that. But once I found out like more details about that and how like it's so similar to the movies, I'm just like, that just gives me the fucking chills.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember, that was interesting.
It's interesting. That's such a cool factoid to know, and I love it. I'm glad I didn't learn it when I initially saw it, because when I first saw Scream, I was a teenager and extraordinarily impressionable. I had not seen that many horror movies.
Oh, yeah.
And my brain could not conceptualize it. So just the intro, I only saw the intro for like a long time, and that scared me so much.
Oh,
it was Drew Barrymore reaching out for her parents, unable to make noise because her lung had been punctured. It's like, it was like so terrifying.
Dude, yeah.
And it's just like, and then if somebody, like, it took me a while, but I finally disassociated enough and like kind of pushed it away, because it was like, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. Yeah. If then somebody had been like, oh yeah, that's based off a real thing, and like, like it just like forever, for the rest of my childhood, no sleep forever, just like.
No sleep forever. I'm taking all the doors off my closets so no one can hide in them. Yeah, no, that is such a great point about that scene. Like, I'd watched that again on Halloween. Again, I was showing my girlfriend. She hadn't seen Scream, so I was like, I remember this being really good. That scene is so horrifyingly well done. It still is hard to watch, like the opening scene.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like
so great and so terrifying all at the same time.
Yeah, it really. I guess it does its job perfectly well for a horror movie. But yeah, you're totally right. Like,
nailed it.
You watch that and you're just like, you feel sick to your stomach. You know.
Yeah.
I don't blame you for like not wanting to get through that part. Jesus Christ.
All right, fill in the blank for me. This weekend was so great. I spent 13 hours
playing Magic.
Nice. Any particular format, friends you'd like to be playing with? Or is it just doesn't matter?
Well, particularly, I mean, my thing, I love Standard, and everyone gives me shit for that. Like, literally everyone. I'm just like, I don't know, man. I like formats that change. I like having to come up with new stuff. That's what's fun to me. Yeah. I say that because I usually don't have that much time to play. So like a full day playing was just like, oh my god. Like I haven't had a day like that in a long time. I get a couple hours in here and there. But yeah, I play Standard, play on Arena. I finally bit the bullet and got Arena last month in November. I'm just like, you know what? Why do I keep hoping that Standard comes back around? Like in person, I could just play anytime I want on Arena.
Yeah.
And so did that, and it's been super fun.
Awesome. This is a brand new question. You're the first to answer, so give it all your gusto.
All right.
What's your favorite, oh, I am normal moment that you've had over the course of your life?
Basically when I realized that my anxiety attacks are not anything life-threatening. And I do suffer from
and that other people had them too.
Yes, absolutely. Other people have had them. Other people feel the same way I do. How I explain how they make me feel. How the worst case scenario, I feel like I'm dying, like I'm about to die.
Yep.
Right? Like you feel like your chest is tightening. You can't breathe. Your head's pounding. Like, oh my god, this is what death must feel like. It's awful. And then to hear other people be like, yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. Like, oh, well, shit.
Yeah. I'm not alone.
Yeah, not alone. This is normal. Anxiety is part of life, unfortunately, and there's ways to deal with it, and it doesn't have to be this debilitating thing. And it is actually way more common. A lot of people suffer the same way I suffer with it, which is not a good thing, but it does make me feel like, oh, there's nothing actually wrong with me per se. It's just, hey, this is just something to deal with, and other people deal with it too.
Yeah, it's a part of the human condition. It's just not talked about nearly as much as shitting your pants or being late to work or something like that. No. Yeah, it's something that everybody, like, I experienced it for the longest time. I thought I was weird for having a fear of public speaking and standing up in front of a class or in front of a group of people,
really,
and talking. tight, chest would get tight. I would have a throbbing headache. And I remember talking to my brother. He's like, you do realize that's the number one fear in the world, right? I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, that's like, people are more scared of that than anything else.
Oh, totally.
Full stop. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, and it's like took a moment. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And it's like, I mean, it still sucks. I don't like it, but it definitely, you feel less of like a loser, an outsider, a weirdo. You feel less othered. Right. To use a literary term. It's like, oh, cool. Like, we all suck together. Hooray!
100%. Yeah, like even people, that's such an excellent point. And also, too, it's like what the person I'm about to bring up is very, very similar to, like, because to me, like, you're always super confident, and so it is surprising to hear that from you. But at the same time, like, those two things aren't necessarily synonymous. Like being confident and in public speaking, two different things completely. One of my supervisors, he's so outgoing, confident dude, really smart, and he'd do these speeches in front of the company, like a couple hundred people, like every so often, and he came out and said, like, actually, I am so nervous every time I do that. I'm like, really, you? You always seem like so, like, it seems so comfortable for you. He's like, no, I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, in fact, I wish I didn't have my position in the company. I wouldn't have to talk in front of people. Like, wow, I would never have guessed. Yeah, literally everyone hates talking in front of people. Like, even if they seem confident doing it.
They're one of my favorite. I don't think I'm getting the names wrong on this one. I hope. Patton Oswalt, famous stand-up comedian, was talking. And when he was coming up, he was having problems with, like, anxiety and, like, kind of stage fright. Yeah. And he talked to another famous stand-up comedian, Jim Gaffigan, and was like, does it ever get better? Do you, when do you get past this? And he goes, oh, I don't. I just get through it. It's like, this is a guy that's, like, performing for, it never goes away. Yeah. You just accept its reality and power through. It's like, what? Yeah. Which, I mean, adds a whole nother cape to being a, stand-up comedian. But it's just like, 100%. Yeah, even the people that you assume are just like, crack knuckles, I'm totally chill up here, I'm relaxed. Yeah. No. That's them acting even more.
yeah, the people who literally do that for a living. Like, your job is to stand in front of a live audience and speak. That is very, very interesting. And I think the key in that, especially with the example you just used, being able to harness that nervous energy into something productive, which is 100% easier said than done. But I think a lot of comedians, like especially the ones you mentioned, they have to do that, if they're not under the influence of something, they find a way to harness that crazy nervous energy that happens in front of speaking to people and turn it into a stage presence or a character or whatever. So that's also another facet of that too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So moving on from what you're grateful that you've kind of approached, what do you wish you had ended sooner?
Oh gosh, I don't know. See, that's tough to answer because I think things just kind of like things have their course and they play their part. I mean, that's my personal belief. Things end when they're supposed to, either with relationships, friends, jobs, whatever. I think those things just happen when they're ready to happen. I've always felt that my whole life. I never felt like anything like should have ended sooner or anything like that. So I know it's kind of like a cop-out answer, but like that's how I feel about it.
That's a more philosophical answer. I find that kind of beautiful to think. It allows you also to do the most important thing, I think, and that is to live without regrets. Yeah. By like having that, like, not looking back, like you're pulling a Job move, or Lot's wife. Job's what? Lot's wife. You're pulling a non-Lot wife, in that, like, you don't look back. You're constantly focused on the future, on what you can do, as opposed to looking back. Not that looking back and, like, learning from your mistakes is a bad thing, right? But as opposed to looking back and wishing, like, oh man, why didn't I break up with her? It's just like, looking is like, all right, well, that happened. Maybe there can be something gleaned from that. Maybe there can't be, but like moving forward and seeing. And finding the opportunities and not being, having your attention be on something that not only is over, but also just can't be changed. There's no result that's gonna fix that.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that's another thing that it is easier said than done sometimes. Because we're all human, and of course there'll be times, there'll be moments where you'll be like, damn, if only I did this, at this point, I'd be here now. Or, everyone thinks like that. Yeah. But I think on a whole, it's people are exactly where they are supposed to be at any given moment. And it's not to say that our lives are controlled by this mystical thing, which could be. I don't know for sure, but I'm not saying that. But, I think that, constantly putting yourself in a state of willing to learn is going to put you in a better position than anything else.
Yeah, moving forward in your life as if there are new opportunities as opposed to ones that you have already, messed up.
Yeah,
is definitely going to have you making better decisions moving forward.
Yes,
than the other is. You're just going to be too scared to make a decision or focus on the decision that you've already botched, as opposed to looking for the opportunity and embracing the now.
Right, exactly, 100%. And to go off of that, so something I heard a little while ago, which still sticks with me to this day, is if you feel like you're making mistakes, you've made mistakes, the best thing to do is actually, it's okay to completely turn around, do it again, start over. The worst thing to do is to justify the mistakes you've made is by making more mistakes. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've already made these mistakes, so I have to then keep going down this path. Right.
Yeah, don't follow the sunken cost fallacy.
Yes.
Of I've already made these mistakes down this pathway. Let's make another down this pathway. It's no. You can just leave this pathway. There's no teacher saying you have to finish this.
Right.
There's no, no mom or dad being no, mow the lawn. You're your own adult. You can decide, fuck it. Yeah. You can decide to not go into work ever again tomorrow. I'm not recommending that, but that you are not bound to anything.
Right, exactly.
Well, that's not entirely true, but very few people are actually truly bound. The amount of boundaries we put on ourselves far exceed the boundaries that truly exist.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. I do think about that often too. And, the thing is to put as much as we can, put our lives in a position where, the things in our lives are our choices, or, as much as we can. I think that's the best thing to strive for. Any given day, they make sure we're surrounded by our own choices.
Yeah. Be my English teacher at university is pissed, but have the most agency as possible. Do not be an object. Be a character.
Right.
The difference between a character and an object in a story is characters have agency, objects do not. And so you'll constantly see in stories, if you read and kind of look for it, there are characters that you could remove their name and call them Lamp. And the amount of difference would just be of a, somewhere between phonetic and feel. It's just Barbara makes no decisions. She only does what, Ted tells her to do.
Yeah.
If Barbara becomes, Couch, it's just going to be a little weird. But it's still going to play the same if she never makes a decision on her own. If the only time she makes a decision are when Ted tells her to do it, or Horse or whatever.
Yeah.
Be the character that has agency.
Yeah, that's a great point. I like that a lot.
I thank you. Yeah. My good man. So kind of a disparate look at my previous question. What moments do you look back in your life with the most joy and pride?
Probably the moment I decided I wanted to start playing music, and I started a band on my own. Very proud of that, and feel very lucky that worked out the way it did. Because, as I said before, out of high school, I hadn't played any music, so I was literally just hey, this is something I want to do. I'm just going to do it. And so something cool about being a little younger is there is really nothing telling you can't at that point. You know,
Yeah.
you're still out of high school. You're still pretty damn young. So I just went for it. I literally used all my savings bonds. I bought an electric guitar. I had no idea how to play it at all. And I practiced every single day for a year until I could play. And then I wanted to start a band so badly. That was like my biggest dream, was to play at the Phoenix Theater in Petaluma, because that's where one of my favorite bands got their start, AFI. So I wanted to do that. And so I literally just put up flyers. Like, I printed out flyers on paper and put them up around town looking for a drummer. Like, this is such an old school sentence. Like,
Yeah.
And I actually got replies. I'm still friends with this person to this day. Found a drummer,
Awesome.
and we started jamming, and then we found a guitar player, and we found a bass player. We recorded an album from a studio in San Rafael, and we played shows all over California, including the Phoenix, and it was like the most proud moment of my life, you know, at that point. And I was so excited.
Awesome.
Yeah. So excited.
What was the name of the band?
I'm not so proud of the name of the band because this was not my decision. I was voted against it. The name of the band was The Veil Upon Arise, which is obviously
Mouthful.
It's a mouthful. And yes, we were an emo screamo band, and that's kind of was the thing back then. But like, that's even a little too much for that, you know.
Yeah, a bit pretentious.
A bit pretentious, and you know, but. That's the thing.
But the specificity of that name.
Yes.
It was on point.
Yes. We should have just been called Specificity, now I'm thinking about it. Damn it. We've been like some math rock band, but like not actually math rock. I don't fucking know.
It's kind of interesting and beautiful that you're talking about something that it sounds like that experience has transpired. It sounds like you're no longer in a band. Is that correct to say?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you still play guitar?
I do still play guitar. That's funny, because that just started again very recently, within the last 2 months. I had not played guitar for over 10 years, and my girlfriend got me a guitar for my birthday, and getting back into it. Yeah, getting my chops back up. Getting the calluses back. It's super fun. I don't have aspirations to do a band thing anymore, but it's good to keep that a part of me, just playing music whenever I feel like it, because that's like writing songs. This is part of my creativity I like to do for my expression.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, but yeah.
I mean, but that idea of looking at something that you achieved and then, it dissolved, you walked away from it or whatever, not with sadness of, oh man, we could have been, but that we were, I think is definitely one of those things. It's a kind of new idea to me. And it's such a beautiful and interesting philosophical kind of change of heading of looking at the things that happened in the past and not be like, oh man, I wish it went for longer.
Yeah.
But just, you're happy that you were part of a band, you got to play, you have an album, you played your favorite theater.
Yeah.
You did all those things. And could it have gone and been greater? Sure. Would it have been, would you have enjoyed it or maybe not? We don't know.
Sure.
But to look at that and not look at it back with, oh man,
oh yeah,
the band broke up, as opposed, the way you're looking at it is far more beautiful and appreciative. And I think a way better outlook on just life in general is this happened. It was awesome. The end. It's just like, oh yeah, but you guys didn't keep going. Yeah. Life happens, whatever. The band fell apart, not looking at the negative or the potential, but looking at what it was and appreciating for what it is.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. And to be completely honest, it took me a while to look at it that way. You know what I mean? Like, it really did.
For sure.
When the band did break up because our drummer had to go to he went to college. Like totally not upset about that. It's like, dude, you're going to Expressions. That's a great school. You've been striving for that. Like, you should go. That's fantastic. And that everything is kind of dissolved from there. And of course, for a few years I thought, like, man, because we had a bunch of new songs that we hadn't recorded yet. I was like, man, these are so much better than the old ones, you know. Like everyone's gonna love this shit. And of course, I thought that for a while. You know, and you know, I fucked around with other groups here and there. You know, try to start other bands, and you know, there's a lot of drama. There's just a lot of drama with people, and those things fell through. But it took me a while to get to a point where I look back on that, and I'm so happy to have done that. And I think that's partly because too, like, you know, I found like new passions that I enjoy doing now. You know, that kind of fill that gap of that need to be creatively expressive. And I definitely found like new ways to do that now, so I can look back at that time without resentment, but just joy. And I think that's an important part of that, is to kind of have a equal fulfillment with what the band provided that I have now, to be able to appreciate that without looking back with regrets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this really hokey line in American Dad. It was like, "Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened."
Yeah. I mean, that's
said by this joke one-off character, but it's such a truism.
Yeah,
it's
I 100% agree with that. You know, it's a great way to look at almost anything. You know, because regret gets you nothing. It just makes you. It stunts your growth. You know what I mean?
It's a weight that you put on your own barbell, and
I love that.
The more regrets you have, the harder it is going to be for you to take steps forward.
Yeah.
And by like letting those go and setting them down, you're just going to get so much farther in life.
Yeah, I love that analogy with the barbell. I'm 100% stealing that. Yep.
Steal it. Put it on a shirt. Make sure everybody knows.
There we go. Maybe I'll make a little comic out of
that. And lastly, before we throw it to a commercial break, Raph, if you could have listeners of this podcast hear any one song of your choosing, which would it be?
It would be from one of my favorite bands I discovered a few years ago, from a band called Our Mirage, and the song is called Lost. Beautiful song, beautiful singer, great band. You will not regret listening to it.
And with that, we're going to throw it to our first break. Feel free to stick around and enjoy the totally real commercial, or take a minute to get lost in Lost by Our Mirage. Or if you wanted to hear a song from a previous episode, check out the playlist on Spotify, Passionate People and Preposterous Peeps podcast Song Rex. Don't worry, there's a link in the description down below, so you don't have to write all that out. Either way, see you in a jiffy. Do you ever find yourself doing a mundane activity with nothing to keep you from gouging your eyes out or sticking a pencil through one ear and out the other? Uh-huh. Well, then perhaps I could introduce you to music. Music comes in a variety of different types, flavors, and colors. Theorists say that it's the best thing to introduce to your life since food. So go out and get some and make your life just a little bit more bearable. And we're back. Rafa, what is your passion?
My passion right now is being creative artistically. And for me, that means drawing and painting. Kind of got back into that after a long time. It's something I was really into in high school. In fact, I had pursued being an artist, in high school, wanting to go to some prestigious art school, you know what I mean? Just like, I was in this program in high school called the IB art program, the International Baccalaureate. I can't say that word. Some words I just can't say. But it was basically like a advanced art class. And if you did well in it, you got like the right score, basically, 1 being awful, 5 being really good. If you got a good score, that would look really good on a transcript to transfer to an art school. And pretty much you were told right off the bat, no one gets a 5. It's like, okay, this is already a weird way to judge people if you're saying that no one can get the highest score. So I'm like, all right, let's go for a 4. I really enjoyed painting, and I really enjoyed making drawings with pastel. I made portraits and things like that. And that was my thing for a while. I did portraits, and I think they turned out really well. Turns out I scored a 3, which 3 to me is extremely average, and I kind of got really discouraged. Yeah. And that's funny enough, when I got that score, and I was just like, you know what, I don't really want to pursue art anymore. And that's when I bought a guitar and started playing music. So like one thing led to another. But I finally got back into art a few years ago, when I had all my old high school drawings and paintings in my mom's garage, and showed my girlfriend, my high school art, by her request, because I was pretty embarrassed to show her, high school art. But she was very supportive and thought that some of the things were really, really cool, and thought they're, really good even for being in high school, and encouraged me to start painting again, and got me some paints for that, that year for Christmas, and just started painting again, got back into it, and loved it, and started selling paintings pretty quickly, started getting commissions, and this is something that never happened to me before in my life, so it was like really exciting that people were hitting me up for paintings and things like that, and that was so exciting. And this year, I've probably sold more art than I ever have in my life, and it's really cool. It's just been such a really cool experience for me to be able to express myself in this way again, and really have this outlet, because it's something I really needed.
Totally.
Yeah.
So when did you first? I know you said you went to an art school, but when did you first start? Do you remember first starting to draw and paint?
Oh yeah.
Was it at art school? Did you go to an art school and then that happened, or were you doing that well before then?
Oh, I started really young. I would say probably my earliest memory of really drawing almost every day was probably first grade.
Oh wow.
I really like comics, right? Like, what kid doesn't like comic books? And my favorite were the Simpsons comics, Bartman, and I love Bartman so much. And Captain America, that's a good juxtaposition right there. Those are the things I collected the most.
Two true American heroes right there.
100%. Bartman, you talk about underrated superhero right there. And so I wanted to make my own comics, and I remember drawing my own comics out and coming up with superheroes and stuff like that, and trying to be funny, as funny as I could be, at 7, 8 years old. And I was mostly just ripping off scenes from movies I liked and drawing them, and just recreating shit, as kids do. But yeah, I did it for a long time. And also, I really like making my own card games and stuff, so I would draw my own cards, because that's when I started playing Magic, when I was 7 or 8 years old. So I was like, I want to draw cards too. And I'd make my own little cards and everything like that. So yeah, it started really young. I super enjoyed being creative visually like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Do you still have some did you ever name the comics that you were drawing, or the cards that you drew?
Yeah. Yeah, I do have some memories of that. So the comics I made, I'm trying to remember what it stood for, but I called them, there was Stab Comics. The name of the super group.
Such
Stab.
Such a child named comic. Just Stab, this is metal.
100%. Oh, this is so cool. This is brutal.
So awesome. Yeah.
It was an acronym for something. Oh yes, I do. I remember what it was called. So it was Stab. So it was Super Team Against Bad Guys. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so pure. That's such it's yeah, we're against bad guys. Also, I love how this acronym "bad guys" is one word.
Right.
Super team against bad guys.
Bad guys.
Can't have stab good.
No. No, that doesn't work logistically. Not at all.
Oh my god, that's so beautiful. Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, I'm so glad I remember that. Yeah. Those comics are floating around somewhere at my mom's house. I have to dig them up and see how cringy they are.
Definitely dig them up. That's tremendous. Oh my god. So you start off your drawing. What are your parents thinking about this when you're like drawing stab comics at the dinner table or whatever like that? Are they for this? Are they nurturing this talent? Or are they kind of like, all right, he's clearly doing his own thing and kind of, like wandering away from your doorway, just like letting you be yourself? Or are they trying to infringe upon it? Like, what's their take?
Oh no, I remember both of my parents being very very supportive of me drawing. Especially at that early age, specifically, very very supportive of me doing that. I do have very early memories of, just saying, "Oh, I'm so proud of you. You're making comics." Like, yeah, and they didn't really think it was like weird that I was like making something called stab comics or anything like that. I think they just liked that I was drawing, and not watching TV or playing video games.
That's awesome that they were that supportive and they were vocalized it. That's so important.
Yeah,
so good.
They've always been, for the most part, very supportive of my artistic endeavors.
That's rad.
Yeah.
So then, school continues, you go and you follow was it an art school or like an art program at like a public school?
Yeah, it was an art program at public school. I went to Montgomery High in Santa Rosa, and this was like like I said, like an advanced art program. It was after school, so like, I do my usual.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was actually a very active, busy kid in high school. I had a 0-period class for choir, so I started at 7 in the morning, and then I went to 3, and then I had my art class from 5 to 7.
Damn.
Yeah, but
I
loved it.
That's a lot of time at the old escuela.
It was a lot of time, but I started to make friends with all the passions I had with the music, singing, art. I loved being there, so it made it easier.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. That's so great.
Yeah.
So you're taking that program, the whole rating thing, it kind of dejects you. Yeah. How do you feel about ratings when it comes to like artistic endeavors now? Like, how does that kind of hit you?
I think ratings on art are completely ridiculous because they are just completely subjective. You know what I mean? Like, right now I think people basically rate art based on likes or whatever, like on Instagram or any social media. That's how people view quality. It's like, well, this has this amount of thousands of likes or hundreds of likes, so this is good. And I think that's a terrible way to judge art. I think if any kind of art, no matter what it is, it can be literally whatever you can think of. If it makes you feel something, if it gives you an idea, if it inspires you in some way, it did its job and it's good. And it does. You can't put a rating on that. You can't say, well, this is a 2, this is a 4. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. People can like image like pretty pictures or whatever, right? Like someone does like a, virtually indistinguishable from a photograph kind of drawing, and it's like, yeah, that's going to have tens of thousands of likes. It's like, yeah, that's extremely talented. That's very good. Does that personally make me feel anything by looking at that? No. That might make someone else feel something, And it's like rating systems on art is so degenerate and so. I think it's really incorrect, especially for younger folk that are very. They can take things like that really personally. You know what I mean?
Do you think it is like? Do you think it's because of the way that society reacts to it, or do you think it's the activity in and of itself of judging something like that? Because like on one hand, you've got the masses looking at whatever person X says. Mm-hmm. And then kind of like ingesting it as if it's like, there's some people that just go, okay, that's your opinion. There's people that go, oh, okay, this is like somewhere closer to fact than opinion. But then on the other hand, taking the time and rating something arguably, on one hand, it makes you look at things and kind of, look at them a second pass at art, but also on the other hand, it makes you kind of categorize it. Do you think that there's one aspect more than the other that has like kind of like a negative contour for the rating system when it applies to like artistic endeavors?
Yeah, I think categorizing it can be wrong because, unless it's the artists themselves doing it, it can be incorrectly categorized and it can be interpreted incorrectly from completely what the message was intended, and that could lead to the artists themselves feeling dejected, or it could lead to ideas that they never intended to make people have, and it could lead to could lead to bad things if not taken seriously. But
do you think that though, like, therefore nobody should, except the artists themselves say what it means, or do you think that everybody should, and therefore like nobody's right but also nobody's wrong?
That's just it. I don't think anyone's right or wrong with that. I have my personal opinion about it, but again, like, how else are you supposed to get your art out there? How else do you try to market yourself? You do need those opinions out there, and you do need people judging it in a way to get noticed. It is kind of like a double-edged sword. Art in itself is like that. Like, you can't just make whatever you want to make and expect money in your account. As nice as that would be.
That would be a little too awesome.
Yeah, it'd be a little too awesome. But yeah, no, that's a really good way to put it. Like, everyone's right and everyone's wrong with that. And it's just interesting at seeing that play in different ways. Specifically with trends, if something starts to have a lot of likes, it tends to then have a lot of likes, because I think people see something that, like, well, a lot of people like it, so I automatically will like it. And so there's a whole group of people, I think, that kind of are more influenced by another group of people that say it's good or not, or say that you should look at it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole bunch of people who are just waiting to be told this is good so they can like it. And there's other people that choose to seek out these things and to have these opinions or make these comments. And, as the artist, as the creator, like, looking back and seeing this, like, you're just hoping that people, like, really get the message, or you're thinking, like, well, are half these people just liking it because the other half liked it, things like that. So it's a little strange, but you just have to basically just be honest with what you're making, and you don't really care then at that point. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter if what people really say. Like, it honestly doesn't matter. I've had people literally tell me my art's so bad I should kill myself. And then I've had, like, I actually screenshot that comment and I posted it because it made me laugh. So, I was like, Jesus Christ.
Such a strong statement to say.
No kidding. Like, wow, this guy really doesn't like my drawing. Like, okay. Then other people say, like, this spoke to my soul. Like, let me know when it's available to buy on a print. And I can't wait to buy it. It's just like, it's just everything's gonna affect people differently. And, so a rating system, like, to go back to the original question, I think is kind of ridiculous in itself for art, especially in a school. But
absolutely.
I see it. Rating system has its merit for things like math, because it's like you're either right or wrong. It's like, your art is wrong. Like, well, maybe to you.
What's the biggest misconception about art by the wider world, do you think?
Biggest misconception. Well, fortunately, most people in my life are artistic in some way or another, with drawing, painting, any kind of creativity like that. And a lot of people share similar ideas with that. So I think there's too much of a misconception from people in my circle or people in my life about art, or creativity in general. Probably the only thing that comes to mind is, like, misconception of doing it for a living. I think some people probably still think that, like, that's kind of just like a pipe dream kind of thing. When, if you really connect with people, like, artistically. I think everyone's searching for something to connect with, and that's why people like video games or movies or art. If they can relate to it, they like it. And, if you make content that people can connect to, everyone's going to like it. And you can make a living out of that, if you know what you're doing. And, I think if you just focus on that and true to yourself and be able to connect with people, it's going to be you can actually make a living out of it. Can you make, you're going to be rich, that's super rare, but can you make some money? Absolutely you can. And I think a lot of people think that, like, especially people at work that I'm not necessarily close with, if I tell them, like, oh, I paint or I draw, they're like, oh, that's cute, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, it's just kind of a hobby. It's like, no, I literally paid rent 1 month with the paintings I sold. So, it is legit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I say that'd probably be the only misconception is just like it can be serious, if you take it seriously. Yep. But you can say that about anything.
Do you think, though, that making a job out of it has, like, what would you say percentage-wise is the talent to, like, kind of luck portion there? Because there is, people, we didn't find out about Bukowski. We didn't find out, Bukowski wasn't widely known or appreciated predominantly until, I believe, into the last portion of his life, and especially after death. And so, do you think that a lot of that has to do, granted, times have changed, there's a lot more of being able to just kind of put yourself out there and get appreciated regardless of what a publishing house thinks, or what art gallery says is acceptable work or not. Do you think, though, that some of it has to do, how much of it do you think has to do with skill versus, just people finding you and, getting the right amount of likes and reshares?
I think it's 100% the amount of likes and reshares and luck. There is so much talent out there. There's so many talented people, and again, talent is also subjective. To me, I don't consider myself extremely technical when it comes to, making the human form, but I know how to make something presentable, that's expressive, that people can connect with. And again, like you said, times have changed. Like, you could totally market yourself. Like, I totally, I pay for my own advertising. I use a local place to print my art, and I ship it myself and everything like that. Like, you could totally run things yourself nowadays. Like, you don't need another person to do that. Of course, it'd be nice if someone wants to take you under your wing and notice you and, hire you for XYZ. That's fantastic. But you could totally do these things yourself. It's just, you look at it like your second job. And it is just totally about how you connect with people. It really goes back to that. And that doesn't necessarily have to do with technical talent or anything like that. If you can have a group of people really relate to and feel what you're putting out there, that's all you really need. I've seen people that make way even simpler things than the drawings I make, and they get tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of likes and shares and everything like that, because it's about how you connect with an audience. And once you figure out your type of audience and what the message you're trying to say, and if you can connect with those people, you're going to do just fine.
So, bringing it back to likes and shares and stuff like that, do you think, so it kind of sounds like it can be a job, but it's not something that you quit your day job to go do. It's something that you do, and then when you can quit your day job.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yes, okay. That's 100% and I think that's the best way to do it. Because, again, I say it's like a second job, but it really it's not if you like doing it. That's that whole cliche, which is true. If you like doing it, it doesn't really feel like work. You get back from your 9 to 5, and then you draw from 5 to 10. You know what I mean? And it's it feels good. You feel productive. You find your time to make these prints and your posts and everything like that, and it feels good. And and eventually.
But I would bet you'd also be willing to do this for free. Not that you shouldn't get compensated or like be able to sell them, but even if nobody wanted to buy your art,
yes,
you would still make it.
Yes, and I have definitely been given some shit from people in my life for that, because like I'm the worst kind of artist slash business person, because I care more about people getting my art, seeing it, and connecting with it than I do about making money, which is like probably the stupidest way to approach it. But I feel the most fulfillment out of knowing like, wow, 3,000 people saw this and they absolutely love it. Feels better to me than like someone said like, I want to give you $1,000 for it.
Yeah.
This is like, wow, I affected that many people. This many people like were able to connect with it. Like that's what I get the most out of. If I can have people feel connected.
I mean,
with what I do.
It sounds like you're financially irresponsible but artistically pure.
100%.
Which is probably the right side of that coin to be on.
That is shockingly accurate. Yes.
Do you have a non-obvious aspect of art that you really just enjoy and is kind of your favorite?
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? I don't
like,
really understand the question.
One of the kind of interesting things about, podcasting, for instance, that's kind of fun for me is the planning aspect of figuring out questions that are going to be asked, in what order, moving things around, figuring out when availability is, and like kind of unraveling that puzzle. That's a very non-obvious aspect that people don't think about when they think of podcasting. They're like, all right, you sit and you talk. It's like, yeah. And if time is infinite and like nobody's, everybody had, nobody was ever busy, that would be what it was.
Yeah.
But the fact that, people are busy, we have lives, and having to like plot that out and like do that kind of behind the scenes, magic show.
Yeah.
That's like one of those kind of non-obvious aspects that I really kind of enjoy that nobody knows about. Is there anything like that for the artistic endeavor?
That's really cool, by the way. Probably the thing that comes to mind is when I sit down to make a drawing, like this is like more my recent style, and like it's kind of like a one-panel comic kind of thing. I usually come up with what the phrase is going to be like as I'm drawing. I kind of let the drawing create the feeling, and then from there I come up with an idea. Probably people think like, oh, I think of the idea first and then make a drawing about that. But sometimes like I'll be inspired by an image or something, and try to recreate it or make it to my own style. And while doing that, I'll come up with like this would be like a really cool phrase to go with this, or this makes me feel this way about that. And that's exactly how these things are done. They're kind of just done on the fly, which
you let the inspiration like kind of surge through you and like kind of go from your brain to your fingers.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's I don't think everyone does it that way. I think a lot of people plan things out, which is a really good way to do it. But to me, being spontaneous with creativity usually yields the best results. Because there's less time for your mind to tell you no. There's less time to have doubt. There's less time for any other thought. There's only the time to feel inspired by the new idea and excited by the new thing happening right now, to just indulge in it, and you're going to have the best results from that.
Yeah, it's that kind of reminds me of when you're thinking of an idea for a story. I've heard this many times. It's like the best thing to do is just write it down and not like, well, that probably wouldn't. It's like, don't shoot it down. Don't like, I'll get back to it later, because both of those things have their own problems. Just like get it down on paper before the idea gets sullied or changed.
Yes.
And just kind of, continue to tack onto it as you want.
Yeah.
But get it down so you don't forget it, and so that you don't have time to poo-poo it or, like shove it under a rug or anything like that. Like so many great ideas started from silly notions. I remember, so I got an opportunity to talk to Dean Cundy, who is the director of photography for the original Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween. And they most of the movie was paid for by this one local guy because it was shot on a pretty shoestring budget. I think the budget was like $500,000.
Oh my god!
And I think like 75% of the budget came from one guy who owned like some big local business or something like that, maybe. And he was like, their big executive producer. And every time they'd ask him about, what do you think of the shot? What do you think about the story change? He only had one thing that he wanted in there. And it's so like, if you solidify it as just like this idea and look at it unto itself, it is a little foolish and, kind of vacant of any artistic expression, which is like, he's like, are there babysitters getting killed? Yes. Okay, cool. And then he would leave. That's all he cared about. It's like, this is a horror movie. I want babysitters getting like killed. That's it.
Oh my god.
That was his only idea. It's like, yeah, if you boil it down and think about it, it's like that needs a little bit more fleshing out. But it's like, the less you flesh it out, the more it makes that movie just kind of better.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, yeah, that's all that movie is. It's like, that's all he wanted it to be. And it, worked.
That is so interesting. I love that.
Yeah. Apparently it was like multiple times they would be like, what do you think of it? He's like, he would just stop them. He'd like put his hand up and he goes, are babysitters getting killed? Like, yeah. Is it Halloween? Yeah. Like, cool. I'm out of here.
That's
and
so
he would just
great.
leave. He would just let them do their thing.
I love that. I love that visual. It's so hilarious.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
all right.
Simplicity is the key, overthinking usually kills an idea.
Yeah. Going from the passionate, now let us go to the preposterous and obnoxious.
Okay.
Rafa, what is your preposterous peeve?
I had to ask my girlfriend this one to get the honest answer, because first when you sent me these questions, I read that, I was just like, I'm so chill, I don't have any. Like, in all honesty, that's what I thought. I was like, there's nothing preposterous, right? Like, I'm just like, well, traffic sucks, and people are mean sometimes, and just shit. Like, I was like, well, those aren't preposterous. Like, who wouldn't be annoyed by that shit? Like, so I asked my girlfriend, I was like, do I have any preposterous peeves? Like something that like anyone else would be like, why does that bother you? She's like, oh yeah, I got one. Like, all right, and it's a really good one too, because I can't believe I didn't think of this. So if there's basically a plan or a like it's a bunch of errands to be run, it's like you got to go to A, B, and C, and all of a sudden D is thrown in there. I'm like, okay, that wasn't in the plan. Like, I already thought these three things were going to be like an hour and a half. Now it's going to 2 hours. And like, I already had these secret plans in my mind about what I was going to do and didn't tell anyone else that are now encroaching on this time. And now I'm just losing my goddamn mind. I don't like when plans like that change, because like in my mind, I map out exactly how it's going to be done, how long it's going to take, and what I'm going to do after. And if there's something thrown in there, I'm just like, God damn it. I was like, but the thing is, if that thing was in there originally, I'd be totally fine with it, because it's not the thing itself. It's just like it was added, and like I can't stand
the addendum. So I'm very much in a similar wavelength. How does this one compare? You've got A, B, C, and D lined up. You've been given the whole actual itinerary. Nothing's been added.
Yeah.
But option C is going to a pizza parlor and getting lunch. And then the pizza parlor is closed.
Pizza parlor's closed, so I would immediately... I'd be disappointed, especially if I was looking forward to pizza. But I'd be like, okay, well, what else is around here? Is there anything else around here?
So you just immediately move into problem solving mode.
Yes, immediately move into
problem. You don't have a... Yeah. I'm kind of recursive in that one. Things getting added on is annoying, but I troubleshoot how to fix it. But when things are like, we're going to go do this, we're going to do that, and like it can't happen, the place is closed, the person necessary just like doesn't show up or whatever like that. That is my like kind of I have the other side of this coin. It's just like drives me up a wall. I'm just like, no, it should be open. It's freaking Monday, especially when it's like you go to a place and it's like an hour before they close, but nobody was there,
Yeah.
and like the place is like kind of like low key run. They're like, fuck it, and everybody's wanting to go out, like, you know, like go home, play video games,
Right.
go see the ball game or whatever, and they just closed up early because they could. And you're just like, no, this is what it says on the sign. It says open till 7:30.
Oh, yeah.
It's 7:10. I just needed to pick up a water bottle. What the fuck? And just like that is, oh god, I can't.
That's what Yelp reviews are for, man.
This place was the worst.
Yeah.
It closed 29 minutes early. All I wanted to do was buy a water bottle and a cheese stick. What the fuck?
If I could give it less than 1 star, I would.
Yeah, that's my favorite. If I could give this negative stars, if I could get negative stars to this place, I would. They weren't open right when I wanted them to be.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. Yeah, that is the other side of that coin there about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, surprisingly, like that doesn't get to me so much because touching on the topic just a little bit more. When that happens, I immediately was just like, well, they're closed. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
So let's just figure it out.
You take that in the better way possible. I was like, okay.
I mean, I still might be annoyed, but you know.
Yeah. I think the way I look at it is somehow this place not being open doesn't allow me to accomplish this. Ergo, I'm failing at this, and that failure kind of like reflects back on me, and now I'm a failure.
Oh shit!
And it's because this place is closed that I'm a failure. So fuck this place for being closed, and it's like have this like tentratic moment.
Yeah, you go down this rabbit hole.
I
man.
go and fast. Like
Holy shit.
I don't slowly weasel my way into it. I just like lube up and jump down like.
No
like
kidding.
I'm shooting the luge or something, just
yeah,
it's right down the rabbit hole. No brakes. Let's go.
God damn. Yeah, that's actually it's funny. Like similar thing literally happened yesterday. My girlfriend and I have this like list of like simple things to do. We're gonna go for a walk.
Yeah.
Go to the dollar store, pick up some gift wrapping. Go to breakfast. Go do some more shopping. It's now on the time of the thing to go get breakfast. So we go to Lita's Cafe, which, by the way, thanks for reminding me, I need to give them less than a 1-star review. We go to Lita's Cafe because it's right next to a crystal store my girlfriend wanted to visit. Like, it's this perfect breakfast spot. We waited 15 minutes and still didn't even get a menu. But we had plenty of people come by and say we'll be right with you. So I'm like, I'm losing my fucking mind. I'm just like, get up and I'm like, you know what? There's a sushi place right next door. So we just get up and go get sushi instead. I was going to get bacon and French toast, but instead I had sushi for breakfast. So, probably healthier in the long run. But yeah, like similar things. Like, you know what? I'm just going to
definitely healthy for you in the long run.
Yeah. A little bit.
All right. And with that, we're going to head to our second ad break. But don't go anywhere because when we get back, Rafa is going to enter
the lightning round.
See you in a bit. Having trouble staying awake?
Oh, yeah.
Wish you'd followed your dream so you had the give a crap necessary to meet your deadlines?
Oh, definitely.
Are you likely to be fired the second another warm body walks through that door and asks your boss for an application?
Probably.
Would you prefer to keep this shit sack of a job instead of explaining to Susan that you've been fired?
I mean, I guess.
Well then, let me introduce you to caffeine. Caffeine is a highly addictive substance that'll keep you jittery and energized to do any fucking stupid task for hours.
That sounds like drugs.
It is!
Aren't drugs illegal?
Not this one. So next time you feel like sitting on the sidewalk instead of at your desk, reach for a caffeine.
Wait, you didn't tell me where I can buy it.
'Cause it's mother-loving everywhere, you blind Neanderthal. And we are back. Rafa, are you ready to enter the lightning round?
Lightning round?
I sure hope so.
All right, put however much time it takes to bake this cookie on the clock. Rafa, is there a god?
Yes.
Shakira's voice in Danny DeVito's body, or Danny DeVito's voice in Shakira's body?
Danny DeVito's voice in Shakira's body.
Have you ever paid more for a meal than you've made in a week?
No.
You're having the best day of your life. What happens next? Another amazing thing or something terrible?
Another amazing thing.
Would you rather give up cheese or naps?
Naps?
Is 0 a number?
Yes.
No one's looking. Do you put the cart back or leave it in the parking lot?
Depends how I'm feeling that day.
If you had the power to see the future but couldn't change it, would you use it?
Absolutely not.
Pineapple on pizza or fist fight?
Pineapple on pizza.
Kill the spider or get an adult?
Kill the spider.
Is there a price for you to give up your passion forever?
Nope.
Boneless or bone-in wings?
Boneless.
Which one of your parents settled?
My mom.
Which do you max out first? Intelligence, charisma, or strength?
Charisma.
Did you ever cheat on a test in school?
No.
Kanye.
No.
Are we alone in the Are we alone in the universe?
No.
Would you rather have your inner monologue sound like Gilbert Gottfried or Fran Drescher?
I don't know who those are.
Wow.
I mean, I've
Some
heard
shots
the
fired.
names. I just don't. I don't know what they sound like.
Are Cheez-Its addicting?
Absolutely.
Tacos or burritos?
Tacos.
Morning or night shift?
Morning.
Would you rather be 10 minutes late for everything or 20 minutes early for everything?
20 minutes early.
Make the food or do the dishes?
Make the food.
Are you a squid or a kid?
Squid.
Congratulations! You've survived the
lightning round.
Would you?
Barely made it.
What lightning round question would you like to ask me, and in turn be asked to future guests?
I would like to ask, are you happy with your life right now?
Yes. I don't know. It's really interesting, right? I'm having a great conversation, catching up with a friend, making this podcast that I truly enjoy.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm having some physical maladies. So it's a whole ball of wax, but I don't think I'd want to be doing something else. So I'm going to say yes.
I like
I'm
that. It's a
happy.
whole ball of wax. That's another thing I'm just stealing. You're giving me all this content that I'm going to be stealing. I love it.
Some of it's stolen from other people, but yeah, totally.
Hey,
Came
that's
from me
literally
first.
how the world goes around.
All right, man. Anything you want to plug, recommend, places people can find you or your content?
Yeah. Anyone wants to check out my art page on Instagram? That's my first and last name, Raphael Rubino _art. That's at Instagram. There you can find my shop where I have originals, prints, and t-shirts available. That store is guillotinesisland.storeenvy.com. Yeah. Please go ahead and check out my things there. Give me a follow if you like it. Other than that, some bands to check out. Band I mentioned earlier, Armirage, very underrated, fantastic. Check out Capstan. They're from Florida. They're a really cool screamo band. Check them out. They're awesome. And movies to watch. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is fucking dope. See it a bunch of times so then they'll make a sequel. I want to see a sequel, goddammit. If the Mila Djokovic version can get 6 movies and has nothing to do with the games whatsoever and made a shitload of money, this one should be able to do the same. That's all I gotta say about that.
Well, thanks, Rafa, for being my guest today. And special thanks to my editor, Richard Ashford, and my composer, Joshua Gibbons. And especially thank you, everybody listening at home, or wherever you found time to appreciate this. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, like, or just share it with a friend. Every little bit helps. Or if you already have and are out of episodes to listen to, don't worry. We put out a new episode every Monday at midnight on SoundCloud, YouTube, and now Spotify at Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves. And a very special thanks are due to our first Patreon patron, Sabello Yellow. Yes, you heard that right. We have a Patreon, and you can be a part of it too. Just head over to patreon.com, Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves podcast. And remember, folks, you wear underwear under there, you wear outerwear out there, and Bruce Wayne wears... Actually, let's not go there. Bye.